4.02 Ming China and Feudal Japan. This goes along with your student workbook pages 99 to 101 and your Human Odyssey reading pages 136 to 149. Lesson Introduction: Ming China and Feudal Japan. After a century of hardship, the Chinese overthrew the Mongols. The Ming dynasty promoted the arts, reformed government, and established a magnificent capital around the imperial court in Beijing. The Chinese explored foreign lands until they were threatened with another invasion. Then they turned inward. Across the Sea of Japan, the Japanese had developed a feudal system and were prospering under the Tokugawa shogunate. Shintoism and Buddhism coexisted peacefully. But when European traders brought Christianity and other foreign ideas, the shogunate felt threatened and turned its back on the outside world. Lesson Objectives: Recognize that the Chinese people sought to be free of Mongol rule in the 13th and 14th centuries. Define civil service. Describe artistic and political achievements in China under the Ming dynasty. Describe the Forbidden City. Describe the Japanese feudal system and the role of the samurai and the Code of Bushido. Explain why the Chinese rebuilt the Great Wall in the 1400s. Identify the accomplishment of Yang He and his expeditions. Identify the major religions of Japan and their beliefs. Identify the Tokugawa shogunate and its reasons for closing Japan to foreign influence. And locate on a map the 4 major islands of Japan. Chu Yongzang. These are difficult words to say. Joined a Buddhist monastery, was born a peasant, became a leader, recruited followers, and conquered the southern Mongol city of Nanjing. Fought battles against Chinese rivals, then against the Yuan rulers. Defeated both his rivals and the Yuan rulers and eventually ruled most of southern China. Proclaimed a new imperial dynasty, and he called it the Ming dynasty. He gathered an army and captured Dadu, the Mongol capital. Civil service during the Ming dynasty. Helped run the empire. Chu restored China's civil service system. It was composed of talented men. Founded civil service candidates in schools that taught Confucianism, and candidates took rigorous exams. Ming art. They wove beautiful rugs and carpets. Chinese arts and crafts flourished under the Ming dynasty. Architects designed graceful bridges, temples, and tombs. Artisans carved designs on lacquered trays, bowls, and boxes. Artisans also created superb porcelain using a variety of colors, especially blue, and they frequently painted flowers, birds, phoenixes, and dragons on their plates and vases. The Forbidden City. Located inside the capital of Beijing, few Chinese and almost no foreigners were permitted to see the inside, and it was surrounded by walls and a moat. It included temples, palaces, gardens, courtyards, carved stone bridges, and ceremonial halls. Every building faced south. Hall of the Supreme Harmony was the heart of the royal court, and it served as the emperor's home, office, and retreat. Yang He. He was an admiral who came from a Muslim family, was selected to lead a voyage of exploration, and spent 28 years exploring, pursuing trade and knowledge. He took part in 7 expeditions and explored with a fleet of 62 large ships, some more than 400 feet long, 2,245 small ones, and 27,000 men. He explored the coasts of Southeast Asia and East Africa, and brought back visitors and captives from 36 countries. After Yang's death, the Ming's emperors, fearing outsiders and Mongol invaders, turned inward. The Chinese walls. Mongol raids prompted the Ming to start rebuilding the Great Wall. Chinese added some stone slabs and bricks to existing beaten earth walls. They built watchtowers that served as signal stations, and the Chinese also built walls around their cities. Wall building was successful. The Ming repelled invaders for almost 300 years. Life during Mongol rule. The life of a typical Chinese person during Mongol rule in the 13th and 14th centuries was difficult. Chinese suffered under the Mongol Yuan dynasty. They paid high taxes, had little to say in their government, and endured terrible famine. Civil service. Civil service is the body of government officials appointed to help run a government. A country's civil service does not include its elected officials or its judges. Geography of Japan. Japan is made up of 4 large islands and thousands of smaller ones. It lies about 500 miles off the east coast of China. Honshu is the main island and home to the majority of Japanese. The islands are mountainous, leaving little land for farming. Japan's 17,000 miles of coastline provide easy access to abundant seafood. Its isolation as an island nation protected it from invaders. Japan's location in the Pacific Ocean makes it vulnerable to typhoons. However, in the past, typhoons have also protected the country by driving away invading armies. Shintoism and Buddhism. The 2 major religions practiced in feudal Japan were Shintoism and Buddhism. Shintoism is the native religion of Japan. Its followers believe that all things in nature have spirits, kami. Shintoists build shrines to the kami and offer them prayers and devotion. The entrance gates to the shrines are called tories. Buddhism originated in India, and missionaries spread it to China, Japan, and other parts of Asia. The religion emphasizes detachment from worldly goods and rising above temptations. Buddhists have built many shrines. The best-known symbol of Buddhism in Japan is the Great Buddha of Kamakura. Japanese feudal pyramid. The samurai. Originally, samurai were personal attendants to the daimyo. Over time, the term came to refer to professional warriors employed by the daimyo. A samurai was loyal to his daimyo, and it was his duty to die for his lord if necessary. Samurai received grants of land in return for their service. Bushido and the samurai. Bushido was a strict code of behavior that the samurai followed. Bushido means the way of the warrior. Bushido required devotion to duty and absolute bravery and loyalty. Japan's weather. The weather played an important role in protecting Japan in the 13th century. In the second half of the 13th century, typhoons helped protect Japan from Mongol invasions. On 2 occasions, typhoons struck Japan while Kublai Khan's forces were attempting to invade and conquer the island nation. The Japanese called typhoons the kamikaze, which means divine wind. Tokugawa shogunate. In the early 1600s, Ieyasu Tokugawa defeated all the warlords in Japan and established the Tokugawa shogunate. Under this dynasty, Japan enjoyed a 250-year period of peace. By the 1600s, alarmed at the number of Japanese people converting to Christianity, the Tokugawa had closed Japan's borders to almost all foreigners. The closing of Japan. You can look at page 104 to complete this. Tokugawa shogunate was trying to turn inward by restricting trade with the 1635 edicts. Spain and Portugal were specifically signaled out in the Act of Seclusion of 1634. The motivation was the Tokugawa shogunate felt threatened because so many Japanese were converting to Christianity. According to the Act of Seclusion of 1636, you would not be able to sell any goods to samurai. The edicts of 1635 stated that you would not be able to start doing business until the price of silk had been established in Nagasaki. The Act of Seclusion of 1636 ensured that Japanese soldiers kept watch over your ship while it was anchored in the bay. And here we come to the end of this flip video lesson. Thank you for joining me today.